Welcome everyone, my name is Clemens, I'm with Guangdong Sourcing, and today I'm going to Zhongshan. Zhongshan is a city here in South China. We call it here in China the capital city of lightning. This is the manufacturing base for many manufacturers that are doing light fittings, lights, and I'm going there today to do an inspection on some headboard lights, on some wall-mounted lights that we ordered for a hotel project in the Netherlands. I thought I'd take out my camera and I'd take you with me on that journey just to see how we do quality inspections and what kind of lights we are seeing there today. Okay, let's go. And it's pretty cool. You can actually see that there is in Zhongshan just so many lightning showrooms. You see this one here, it's a huge lightning plaza with many showrooms. Probably can't see all around, but there is just hundreds and thousands of showrooms. All right, so I arrived now at the factory. Big misinterpretation that many people have is always that factories in China are super huge, massive buildings with hundreds of thousands of employees. It's actually not so true. I mean, there are big manufacturers, but most manufacturers in China are small and medium-sized companies. So very often I actually encounter this misinterpretation or misunderstanding that people just expect just a super big assembly line, and then it's a lot smaller. I think Chinese companies live from the supply chains. So especially here in Zhongshan, where lights are being manufactured, most factories are essentially assembly lines, and the factory orders their components from very specialized factories that are doing one part or powder coating or a driver or the LEDs itself, and they just put it all together. So that's super interesting to see. Therefore, like, small doesn't mean bad, and it's just something that I often encounter. Okay, but let's take a look now what we got here so we can start our inspection. All right, so these are the lights that we ordered this time. We can have here on the table our inspection. You can see these are the lights. It's a very nice finish. And I'm going to start now to just look at this stuff and see that, everything is good quality, that there's no scratches, that it's working, and so on and so on. All right, so I'm doing my QC right now. What is always a little bit of a misbelief when you hear about QCs, everybody's telling you about AQL tables. AQL is acceptance quality limits. They are basically tables that are quite standard in the industry for testing different products for quality defects, and they do make sense. So when you have a larger quantity, AQL tables make totally sense. They give you basically a limit of like how many do you have to test, how many samples do you have to take out of the production batch, and then how many mistakes can be there or defects can be there. And they have like basically minor defects that are small things like maybe an imperfection in the coating, and they have major defects and critical defects. Critical defects are defects that would make a product not sellable. So for example, if a light would not be working, or for this light, like if this wouldn't be turning, so something that is really critical for that light to function. Why I am saying that it's sometimes a little bit used too much in the industry is like, especially if you look at smaller quantity batches. So let's say we order on a project 3 doors. AQL tables don't make any sense because they are basically working with statistics. So you need like a large production batch. So here now, today we have ordered over 200 lights, so there it actually makes sense. But if I'm having now, let's say, a small production batch of 3 doors, or you know, if you have windows where everything is like different size, it just isn't relevant anymore. So if you speak to somebody and you ask them like, okay, how do you structure your QC process? I mean, most of the time I'm just giving the simple answer, like it's important to look at the products and see what's happening to get a feeling for like what's going on. It's not just about statistics or AQL tables. So what I'm specifically doing here today is like really checking that the coating is good. This is really important, that there is no obvious scratches in the coating, because that would obviously look very ugly in a hotel environment. And then that everything is functional. So we see, for example, here in the back, we see a bracket that is basically being unscrewed, then mounted to the wall. And then these 2 screws here at the side, they will basically fix the light to that bracket. And it's very important to just review these things, that everything on the product is working. And then obviously, since this is a light, it does make a lot of sense for us to kind of like wire it to make sure like it's properly tested in a way that it's also working, so that the light is functioning. And yeah, this is also something that is very important, but all the lighting factories, they have always like a small setup like this one where testing is easy to do. So that's good. There we don't need to prepare like plenty of materials. We just come and the factory is always like very accommodating to help us to do the QC and to also show what they can do. And if there's a case that we find something, we normally have to just go through with them. What is it that is not good yet? What needs to improve? Sometimes there is things where we just need to rework or reproduce certain parts or batches. That can happen, but it's not very often that this happens. But yeah, in this case, I think we're having here a quite nice batch. There is not really like many problems I found so far, but I'll continue a little bit further just to see that this is really all good. It's always very important to also document everything. We have a form where we fill in all the information, but taking pictures is quite important, because that's part of the documentation, and especially if this is a third-party inspection, so we do it on behalf for someone, then we'll basically make sure that they get all these images and all the test reports, so that they know like what they're getting before it ships. 没关系，我也可以自己。For example, here was a little bit glue, but like since you can rub it off, like it's not really a quality issue. It's always important to verify, is it like a scratch or is it like really something, just a little bit dirt, right? I mean, if somebody on site can just after installation clean it up, there's no problem with it. But yeah, overall, I think they look good. Take some more pictures. All right, so I'm finished with the inspection. I think it went pretty smooth. There was no critical defect I found. I found a few imperfections with the coating, which I evaluate as like not huge problems, because they're not really visible as long as you're not really like actively looking for these imperfections, which is, I think, a quite good outcome for this inspection. If this would be now a third-party inspection, I would basically put it into a report. For this video, I'm gonna do a report so I can show to you how that usually looks like, so that there's a little bit of reporting just to our client. Then we also will upload all the images usually to a shared folder where our client will have access to, so that our client has a full insight in what's going on the ground here in China, like what are the products looking like, what is the condition, is everything good, and we will obviously also give a private feedback in terms of like, do we believe this is good to ship, or do we need to communicate with the factory or rework certain things? And this always gives our client then a higher level of certainty before they ship it, because I always say a problem can be easily fixed on the ground in China, because the factories are always very cooperative to rework things and to get things to a quality standard that you need them to be. But once they're in a foreign country, in the country of destination, be it in North America, in Europe, Africa, wherever you are, then it's actually quite complicated to solve certain things, because it would be costly to ship it back, and there is taxes and duties during import and export involved. So this is not perfect. Always make sure that the quality is good while the products are at the factory. All right, so this was everything from me today. I hope you liked it. And yeah, if you need help on the ground in China, just reach out. We'll be happy to help. Bye-bye.